falling, I'm falling, I'm falling, I'm falling, I'm falling. Shouldn't be trusting me, I could be making it all up, you know. Out of control, you don't know me. I'm a danger to myself. Out of control.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is that you are tuning in. This is Unapologetically Me, featuring me. No special guest, just me. So we are rolling right into video number 5. And I wanted to make this video about, I like to dig and I like to give some education with my videos. This is a very serious topic. I mean, is it entertaining as a trial and everything is? These are people's lives, right? So I like to educate whenever I present cases. So if you're new here, you may be bored by this, and I get that. But, a lot of my subscribers subscribe to me because I do like to really dive into things and try to educate as well. So this video, I kind of wanted to, while looking into the trial a little bit, I also wanted to talk about male DV. So 50% of victims of family DV are male. So half. And due to the fact that they are even less likely than a female to speak out and come forward, who knows the real numbers? Battered husbands face a stigma. From what's been reported as of this month, well, actually, I meant to put this out last week, so it was April, but April of 2022, 3.2 million men are victims of domestic V. Battered men average 4.4 assaults by the same partner in a single year. Severely unreported statistics are nowhere near accurate. Men often suffer a different type of AB, more along the lines of aggression and controlling behavior, as well as gaslighting. And the main reason that it goes unreported is because being the male in the relationship, they feel that the police will not take them seriously, and no one else will take them seriously for that matter. Drew Barrymore has been under fire, and she described their relationship as a 7-layer dip of crazy, talking about how entertaining that the trial is, saying that, they offered up all of this information, right? And she's right, they did. But the main reason that this was made public was because Johnny Depp has had zero voice in this 6-year-long ordeal. I mean, he has basically been canceled and has never been able to say a thing in his own defense. But so this is a very high profile man who wanted everything publicized because he himself was a victim of DV. And Drew Barrymore making that comment and laughing about it as if it were a joke would be no different than if you believed AH was telling the truth and she had made a comment about that and laughed. Again, that stigma of minimizing male AB as if it's not as serious as DV towards a female. After a good amount of backlash, she did come out with an apology after for making light of this. She explained it being a teachable moment for her and that she would be more thoughtful moving forward, and that she does appreciate the depths of it. Because Johnny Depp is a man, it doesn't mean it's funny. I mean, just because he's the man, it doesn't mean that it's funny that he was AB'd. I mean, but I also want to say, damn, comedy's dead. You can't say anything anymore without offending someone. I mean, it's kind of sad in a way, but however, in this case, I completely understand why people were offended. AH first came out with her allegations. She was taking a stand, right? The, hashtag Me Too movement was in full effect, and she was taking a stand, and that's exactly what Johnny Depp is doing. He's taking a stand against male DV and showing that it is possible for a male to be broken down by a female and AB'd by a female. He has this way of making these funny little quips, and I talked about them in another video that I made earlier, but I believe that he sometimes uses sarcasm in place of the truth. Many people do this, and he seems to do it quite a bit. You see him do it on the stand as well. Let me just play this clip for you, and you make your own decision.
Globe, do you have a message for your fans right now, Mr. Depp?
I'm scared to death. I'm frightened, and I don't know what to do. I'm confused, and I want to go home.
I mean, this man was AB'd. He lost everything. This woman, in my opinion, is mentally ill. Both have very serious issues with substances, and all three of these things are very serious issues. If these people were our friends or our family, we would not be going on YouTube and making jokes about it. We would not be hopping on the internet and making memes about our loved ones who are going through this. So regardless of who instigated and who was the aggressor in this relationship, there's no denying that it was incredibly toxic. And because of that toxicity, they are both very broken down by this relationship. I said it before. They brought out the worst in each other. They triggered each other severely, and a lot of anguish went on in that relationship. And none of it is funny. None of it is a joke. Another thing that Johnny said that AH would do is to threaten to unalive herself and if he left her. Now, his mother had attempted this as well. And one of the things that gets me about this case, or as a red flag from the start, is that Johnny Depp described Amber Heard as being perfect at first. And this to me is the first red flag, though no one would ever know. You meet this person and it's like, oh my gosh, they just fit, they check all your boxes, right? There's no way. This is like my soulmate. Like, finally, after all these years, I found the one person that like fits me like a glove, like my missing puzzle piece, right? But a lot of times when that's how it starts, this is how it ends, where we're at right now. A trial like this, or divorce, or, and there were others who noticed this as well. Angelina Jolie, for example, she had talked about the way that Amber just kind of swooped in, almost like, a princess charming. I mean, these are my words, but, it seemed like she had ulterior motives, as far as Angelina was concerned. And I've heard in the past people say, and I think we've all heard this before, if it seems too good to be true, it usually is. Now, that's not always the case, but the fact that Johnny Depp describes her as being perfect and everything that he wanted at the beginning makes sense with how it ends, in my opinion. And it had also been said that he was kind of having a bit of a midlife crisis around this time that he met Amber. AH, and that it's possible that her age really played a part in his feelings for her. Like I said in my last video, she was young, she was carefree, and he still wanted to be, yet she was wise beyond her years, enjoying poetry and books and red wine and painting, and she was, I don't know if the diagnoses that I spoke about earlier are real or not, and if she sought help for them. But what I do know is that adapting and manipulating people in relationships is a symptom of many of these disorders. So, and I'm not saying she was never into poetry. I'm not saying she faked all of it, but it is not unlikely for someone with certain personality disorders to kind of become a chameleon. Whoever they're with, they almost adapt that person's interests, behaviors, They shadow them, they mimic them. And, we see her doing this as kind of, I don't know if it's a defense mechanism or what, but we see her doing this now, dressing like him, in court, and, taking drinks of her water when other people are taking drinks of theirs, like while they're on the stand. So, and I don't know if she's aware of it or she's not. I think sometimes she is, and I think sometimes she isn't, but the person will seem to sweep you off your feet, right? And be everything that you wanted and more in the beginning. They enjoy all the same things that you do. They treat you better than anyone has ever treated you. But eventually you start to notice them becoming controlling and jealous. And that's exactly what Johnny Depp began to notice about AH. He talked about AH for the first year to year and a half as being attentive, loving, smart, kind, understanding, and he said it was amazing. He said one thing in particular that she used to do when he would come home from work is she would right away bring him a glass of red wine and have him sit down on the sofa, and she would remove his boots for him. And she would do this every night when he got home. And he spoke about how no one had ever done that for him before, and it was something that he really took note of, and it was one of the things that she did that helped him to kind of fall for her. But one day, he says, he came home and she was busy, and so he took his own boots off, sat down on the sofa, and she comes storming in, pissed off. She walks in and says, "What the hell are you doing?" And he was like, "Well, I took my boots off. You seemed like you were busy, so I took my boots off." And she said, "No, that's my job. Don't do that again. And, let me go get your wine." And, but it was like, don't you dare do that again. That is my job. That's what I do for you. And he talked about how he broke these rules of routine, her rules of routine. And that after that, he began to notice more and more, certain things that were almost like controlling. She became jealous of everyone, he said, even the time that he spent with his kids. And this led to isolating him from friends and family. And he said she learned all of his weaknesses and began to use them as weapons against him. He talked about how drugs and alcohol were used as more of an escape for him, or a coping mechanism, more than any, like a party type thing for him. And he talked about becoming addicted to opioids after an injury, and it got to the point where he would have to take them just to avoid from being sick. He said that he wanted to stop, but he hated the withdrawals. He was afraid of the withdrawals. And when he finally decided to get clean and sober, he had it all planned out. He was going to go to his private island on the Bahamas. Must be nice, right? With his sister, and she was going to help him get clean once and for all from these painkillers. And AH had insisted that she go with, and he did not want her to go. A lot of people testified he did not want her there, but she ended up going, and while there, she controlled everything. He said that he would be begging for his medication and that she would be keeping it from him. Now, I looked into this and I found that he had been prescribed a certain medication that he didn't really like. He didn't like the side effects of it. And so they changed it up, and instead they would be giving him Xanax for the breakthrough anxiety that comes with withdrawals. And while that wasn't exactly what the doctor felt was the best, he did agree to it as long as it would be monitored that he was taking this medication correctly. So I guess, AH was basically designated to be the one to distribute these meds. So according to Johnny, he would basically be freaking out from a full-on panic attack in severe withdrawals, and that she'd be refusing to give him the Xanax and to calm him down. And he brought up having to take a scalding hot shower in order to almost like shock his brain into forgetting about these withdrawal symptoms. Even if it was just for a little bit. Like, it was like he had to burn himself basically with hot water in the shower in order to kind of take away just the pain of the withdrawal and the mental anguish of the withdrawals. Now, hopefully many of you have never had to withdraw from opioids. And I hope you never will. But I can assure you that it is nothing short of torture. Both physically and mentally. And the fact that she controlled that torture, essentially, it's absolutely disgusting, in my opinion. It's an extremely evil thing to do. Especially to a human being that you say that you love. I mean, he would have probably got better care in prison than he testifies that he got, with her being the one to distribute his meds during his detox process. And again, I remind you that this is Johnny's side of things, and I'm sure AH will be testifying to this as well. And before that happens, I want to let you know that there will be a letter that will surface that was written by Johnny Depp to AH's mom, Paige Heard. And that letter states that AH was amazing during this time, this detox process, and that he could not have gotten through it without her. But he claims that he wrote this to placate AH. The truth, nobody else was there as far as I know. So we only have his and hers. And you know what they say. There are three sides to every story. His and hers. And the truth. So I don't know. But I'm going to end this video now, and we're going to roll into video 6. Just kind of keep going here. And so if you like this video, go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and like. And I will see you as soon as video 6 is uploaded. Talk to you later. Or talk to you then. I hate when I say that.